Yeah, look at me.
Yes. All right, guys, I'm sorry that I'm sitting, but if you see these types of training, you know that I'm on a crutch, and it kind of hurts to stand. So, welcome to happiness.
Woo! Happiness!
Oh, yeah.
All right, here's the first premise you have to understand. And it's more important to see the screen than me anyway. So, the first thing you need to know is I'm an expert in nothing. I sit in front of this room because I volunteered to run a workshop, and when they said, what do you want to do it on? I said, happiness, and everyone looked at it and kind of like, what? And it was the thing that was on my mind. So I claim no expertise. I'm a doctor of happiness, not. I just am a happy person, I think. So, I have no training, expertise, degree, certification, anointing, blessing, permission, title, or recognition in the field of happiness. I have only a life to live. Challenges faced, and a curiosity about the subject, except that anyone in this room may know more about this topic than I do. I can look at that. There's nothing wrong with it. There's a lot of reasons people are unhappy. Some of them are physiological, some of them are psychological. I have a word for that. I really don't. I'm trying to reach the average person here with a little bit of insight on what makes me happy, okay? And how I'm not really the textbook person that you think would be the happy person in terms of my history and my background. But for whatever reason, DNA, I don't really know. The coke bottle my mother told me I was hit me in the head with when I was an infant. For some reason, basically, I'd be greater than Titanic because I'd be making jokes as we were going about. That's just how I am. So, I know that I'm not going to reach everybody. I know there's an awful lot of reasons why people are, and I can't fix that, and I wish that I could. I don't know if you can read that. On this chart, which is about a year or so old, Americans rate in the entire world 11th in terms of happiness. You wouldn't think that at first blush, but 11. All right. Now, there is a quiz online, and I can make this stuff available to you. It's a happiness test. It's 47 questions. It takes you 20 minutes to do. We're certainly not going to do this now. But I will make this available if you feel like you're looking at it at some point. You may find it to be interesting. I hope you don't mind being in semi-dark, but that's where I'm more comfortable, even though I can't see my buttons here. Folks, where you at? That's not what I want.
Did you expect something happy?
Okay, computer people, what am I doing wrong? I'm hitting all kinds of stuff. I just want to get back to it. Thank you. All right, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. I'm pretty open about me. My staff knows most of this. I don't really have any secrets about this kind of stuff. My mother and father split when I was born. One of the things I heard routinely from my mother, both my parents are alcoholics. My mother was a violent alcoholic. He used to beat the crap out of me with any sort of object she could find in her hands when I was a little kid. And she would tell me frequently that I was a failed attempt to keep their marriage together. Kind of impressionable when you were a little kid. When I would go to school, I frequently heard from her, and I'm not making this up, I hope you get hit by a Mack truck. To this day, when I see a Mack truck, I hesitate for a minute because of what she used to say all the time. So, I shined shoelace tips 8 hours a day for $1.65 an hour for 2 years, in which I just moved my hands, fanning shoelaces 2 hours a day in the mill. I had many jobs like that before I came here. Nothing that was particularly challenging for me. I was a really poor student. I was a lousy student in grammar school, and shortly before I went to high school, they realized I had really bad eyes and I needed glasses. No one seemed to know that before that. I just took for granted everything was fuzzy, and that's just the way life was. So sometimes I do wonder if I had glasses when I was younger and I could see the stuff written on the board, if I may have been more engaged in academics. I don't know. I had a good friend, John. Ironically, he used to teach yoga. Very mellow fellow. And I hadn't seen him in years. And I ran into him in a bookstore. And I said, John, how you doing? And he said, I'm blissed out. And I went, cool. Why? And he said, because that bitch of a wife of mine finally granted me the divorce. And the only thing I could think about, first of all, this was Noah John, the yoga teacher. But the only thing I could think about on that, and I later got divorced, was at one point he was attracted to the woman who married. And at one point, somebody asked somebody to get married, and they have a life together, and they had kids. And there was joy, there was attraction, and all of that. And something fell apart. And the only thing that he could remember or focus on was being free from the burden. Now, when I got divorced, one of the happiest days of my life, honest to God, was the day that I got married. My wife's father was dying of cancer, and I have a picture at home of me with him at the table with a big smile on his face. I remember a lot of good stuff. It was painful to get divorced, but I remember a lot of the good stuff. I don't know why one would focus on the end of the relationship and not celebrate what led to that before that was positive. I've had 7 eye surgeries. I've been blind in this eye 4 times and in this eye 3 times. I mean blind so that I could barely see shadow. Luckily, it was 1 eye at a time, and so it was pretty good except on the stairs, because when you only have 1 functioning eye, depth perception becomes kind of an issue. You guys know I'm kind of a big boy, right? My mom used to, she was a cook for various religious organizations, and when I would be sitting there, she would have all this collective food coming back from the table, and it was my job to finish that off. So literally for a long period of time, my breakfast, the appetizer for my breakfast for a long time was a full, large box of cereal and a gallon of milk while I was waiting for the other food to come out. That was my job to finish off. So I've always had weight issues. And that affects you. That affects you in the schoolyard, that affects you in dating, that affects you in so many different ways. If you walk by people snickering, there's a part of you that wonders if they're snickering at you. That's just the way that is, you know, it is. I killed my cat. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I used to have a cat. I used to have several, but I had this cat, Ursula. I called her Ursula because she had long hair and looked like a bear. And I came home one day and I was very tired and things around my couch. I had a big couch. I had a blanket all piled up there from watching TV the week before and some pillows on it and stuff. I was exhausted. And I came home and I just fell back on the chair. And being the big boy that I am, my ass went away and found a direct hit on my 17-year-old cat Ursula. She died shortly after that, and basically because I crushed her. One of my best friends ever died when he was 31. He had an aneurysm. He was reading the Sunday paper, and he was doing a minority. And he could go to work on Monday, and he had a great work ethic and liked coming to work, so he did something to do. So he called his father, and his father went and found him dead on the couch. And his mother came up to me and asked me to do her a favor, and I said, sure, anything. She asked me to read the eulogy at the gravesite. And she said, there's only one thing. You have to make me smile. The mother of my dead friend wanted me to make her smile with the Lord and the cat. I don't know how, but somehow I did. So I was pretty happy with that. This is old, the last part of this. I got a phone call, I think it was Tucker, Tucker staff, remind me if it was you guys. Anyways, Tucker. There's a mother who was irate. I mean, this woman was freakazoid. Jacqueline, was it you? Yeah. And she was like browbeating Jacqueline, so they called me. She wants to tell the supervisor. She picks up the phone, and at this point, I don't even remember the issue, but she's going on and on and on. And she said, keep saying, what are you going to do about it? And I'd suck in air, and I'd start to get her answer, and then she'd just keep going. And that phone call went on for what felt at least like 10 minutes. I never said a word. And when it was done, she hung up. I felt good about it because she called me. And I was tolerant. I could sit there and have her call me all kinds of names, and be all kinds of angry, and be frustrated with the way that I was doing things. And I wasn't getting kicked off at her, and I wasn't yelling at her, and I didn't hang up the phone. So I was kind of happy that she called me. So despite all of that stuff in my life, I'm the guy up here that's talking about happiness. I don't know why. I just don't. I wake up at night, I go to sleep in the morning. The crutch thing, the cane thing that you see, I'm in pain when I stand, I'm in pain when I sit, I'm in pain when I walk, and I can't even sleep at night. I haven't slept the whole night in bed in months, but I still go to bed happy. I wake up happy. I love what I do. I love where I am. I love working in this environment, and I've never been so challenged. I'm not going to waste the 24 hours in the day worrying about the bad stuff. Bad stuff happens to everybody. All right, so people go to the gym and work out muscles. Everybody kind of knows that. That works. But there's stuff that you can do.
Shut up.
What?
This will explain it. Salt and egg if you're not used to it.
What makes you happy? Having fun? Hanging out with friends? Delicious food? Making money? Well, consider this. Psychologists have scientifically proven that one of the greatest contributing factors to overall happiness in your life is how much gratitude you show. Yeah? Think about that. Go ahead and marinate on it for a second. You can thank me later if you want. It'll make you feel better according to this study. You go ahead and click on it and read it if you want. Or, you can keep watching because we read it and we thought it might be fun to test out for ourselves. We gathered a selection of volunteers to act as our subjects. First, we gave them a test. They didn't know what we were looking for, but it gave us a pretty good idea of their current level of happiness. We asked them to close their eyes and think of somebody who was really influential in their life, somebody who did something really amazing or important for them. We had them write down as much as they could about why this person was so important. Now, a lot of them thought at this point the experiment was over, until we really put them on the spot and tried to get them to call that person and read what they wrote about. Thank you, Jessica. We're going to have you call your mother. So who is that right person for you?
Person is my sister Erica.
We're going to give Erica a call.
Okay.
Who'd you end up picking?
Friend of mine, Greg Ames.
Her name is Laura.
I come and mention that.
Really? Is this somebody you're still in touch with today?
No, I'm assuming that he's passed on.
That's a shame.
Great beyond.
You up for it?
Yes.
What would you say if we called up Dora?
Oh, we can try, but she lives in Britain.
In Britain?
I don't know a number by heart. This is awful.
That's fine. I don't know what else over my heart.
If it's true that those who are going on are looking down on us, maybe you may advise that is correct.
Hey, sweetheart.
Hey, how you doing? You got a second? Where you at, the hotel?
I am. I'm in the hotel. Are you serious? Yes, but that's wrong.
No, I'm on like this little TV show, and they told me to talk about the person that influenced me the most, and I picked you, and then they're making me call you. They're making me call you.
Oh, wonderful.
Hi, you reached Craig. I'm here right now.
At the tone, please record your message.
Oh, come on.
Hello?
Hi,
Hi.
Erica. It's me.
All right, so I got to read you this paragraph. Can you hear me? Alright, the person that influenced me the most would be my mother, Marlo Dawson. She is a single mother of 2. She is a very hard worker and dedicated to her family.
Hey Craig, this is Lily. This is going to be a funny little voicemail, so I hope you enjoy it. I'm so sorry for calling you at 4 o'clock in the morning. I have to read this
You can respond, but I probably will just keep going. Okay?
Is everything okay?
Yes, but I have to read this out loud to you.
The person who has had the biggest impact on my life outside of Jesus Christ, who was responsible for my existence, was my college accounting instructor. He had a joy and enthusiasm for his job like no other teacher I have ever known.
I love her to death, and she keeps me going with positive talk. She is a woman that knows what she wants and won't give up until it is achieved.
Oh, so good. I'm not surprised because it's so beautiful. I have to say that it's wonderful.
I first met Craig on an independent feature film set in Whitefish, Montana. I recently have been sending Craig a lot of positive thoughts as he suffered a series of health problems. Despite his medical problems, he's continued to work and take pleasure in the small things in life, like sitting quietly with his wife Janine on the porch.
Erica is my older sister and my best friend. Sometimes it even feels like we are twins. She's my #1 fan and my #1 supporter. She makes me happy because despite all my mistakes and my decisions, she still loves me no matter what.
Your friendship is everything. And you are one of the most important person in my life.
Even when she has a kid and many children, I will love her more than her kids. Okay, maybe not. I will never forget when she flew 3,000 miles at the drop of a phone call to save me from a breakup.
I'm being blessed to have a son like you. I love you.
Bye.
Why did you do this?
I don't know, because they made me do it.
Thank you for picking up. Bye, sweetie.
And then they're like, here, you're gonna write this letter. And then I wrote like this whole long ass letter, which, you know, I like don't write. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, guess what? We're gonna call her and you're gonna read her this letter. And I was like, what the?
Before we let them go, we gave our subjects one more happiness test. Now we mixed up and rephrased the questions so they didn't know they were taking the same test twice. For those who took the time to actually write something down but couldn't make the phone call for whatever reason, we saw happiness increase between 2 and 4%. Good, but not exactly mind-blowing. Now for those who actually picked up the phone and personally expressed their gratitude, we saw increases between 4 and 19%. So either way, expressing your gratitude will make you a happier person. But you want to know something really interesting? The person who experienced the biggest jump in happiness was the least happy person who walked in the door. What does that mean? That means if you're having a particularly tough time, trying this out will more likely have a greater impact on you. Trust me. I'm in a lab coat. In fact, while you're at it, film it and upload it to us. And we'll do something awesome with it. I'm Julian, and this has been the Science of Happiness.
Oh, that cake, subscribe. Do that with someone you care about. It will be amazing. All right. Each day, and also do nice things on campus to your residents, to your neighbors. Those little things add up. Holding the door, being gracious, going out into your way to see how somebody does it. Not because it's your job, but because you care. It's going to make you feel good. Every day we make thousands of choices, most without really thinking too deep. We go through life on automatic for a good portion of any given day. We can choose to be engaged or not be able to be disengaged. We can go from point A to point B without not really caring about the journey itself. A lot of times we get into discussions. I don't care if it's politics, favorite band, favorite color, political point, religious point, whatever the case is. Why is it that we can't talk about things and share ideas without having emotions get in the way and start yelling and screaming and hating each other? I don't really understand that. So if you find yourself getting into a discussion with someone and it starts to get heated, do a little count to 10 in your own head and wonder why you'd be getting so hot under the collar on this. All right, I take pictures. I have a website that has very close to 14,000 pictures on it. There's a show in Providence called The Arts and Healing in Providence URI building in November, and I was asked to put some stuff in it. And I had to write write a bio, so it's reflecting on that. I don't know if you can read the fine arts. This is the Fine Arts Building, one of the ugliest buildings on campus. I work there, I know. Can you read what that little print says? Find beauty. I discovered this one day, just randomly. I was out there, and I have to tell you, this has been on my mind for 10 years, okay? Why would someone write this? Why would someone write this on an ugly building? And I started to think about my photography more. I started to take more pictures because of it. I started to look for the beauty. I became much more involved in, I sometimes say to people, it sounds crazy, but I feel like I live in Disney World, because when I walk, I always have my camera with me, and I can't walk 10 feet without seeing something that catches my eye. And I attribute that to stumbling on this thing, where someone wrote find beauty. And it was very life-changing for me. How many people know what water fire is? Cool. All right. You realize you raise your hands to a boring guy, but okay. I got the idea. I have a little philosophy on water fire. I've been several times. I love water fire. For me, it's one of the most meaningful things. But here's my little story. Two people work in the same office, and they go, not knowing that the other is going, and with separate friends. They go to water fire. In one case, it's a group of 10 people, and water fire is one stop in a long night of many things that they're going to do. This is the first time they've been to water fire. The other is with a significant other, someone they care about a great deal. And the group of 10 goes through, and they're laughing and they're talking, and they're, we talk about the plans and stuff, in their life, and their comics and that sort of stuff. And the other, the couple, is walking through, and they're only hearing the sounds. They're smelling the smoke. They're looking at the people dressed in black, the fire tenders. They look at the architecture of downtown Providence painted in the light. They listen to the ethereal music that's playing everywhere. And the two people run into each other the next day at work, and they buy the water fountain, proverbial water fountain, and they start to mention what they did the night before. And he said, really, I was there. And the one in the big group goes, I don't get it. What's the big deal? There's nothing. I don't really understand what people are raving about. And the guy that was, or the person that was in the couple said, it was probably the single most moving experience that I've ever had. Was it two different water fires? It was the same thing. How attentive are you to what's going on? Do you see the nuances? I am, well, I hate to say this, but I'm 63 years old. And when a plane flies by, I am still 5. I grab my camera and I try to take a picture of the plane going by because I'm amazed by it. How can this thing be up in the air? I am just a 5-year-old, and I have hundreds of pictures of fuzzy sky. I've never taken a good picture of a plane going by, and I don't even know why I would want to do it, but it was the magic that was there. It was being open, opening those receptors up. We can go through life with our receptors open. When I hear a bird chirp, I told you I take about 200 to 300 pictures a day. I hear a bird chirp, I turn and I look in that direction. I don't necessarily take a picture of a bird, but that sound caused me to turn and look. And when I do that, I usually find something that just is, in terms of my photography, something that really catches my eye. Okay? I ask you to add, whenever you're going from point A to point B, whenever you can do this, add 15 minutes to your walk. Take a different path. Walk more slowly. Look at the change in the trees when they go, from green to the multicolors to the, just the branches, because there's nothing left up there. Look at all the nuances. Listen to the sounds that are out there. Wind in the trees. One of the things I love about fall is the sound of the leaves blowing in the wind. If you're open to that, everything's much more magical. So if you can, give yourself 15 minutes to get point A to point B. Now listen, I don't want you to get blissed out on me, all right? There's an awful lot of great stuff that has happened because people have been discontent with something, okay? Racism, poverty, all kinds of issues were not based in happiness for people to take to the streets and create change. I understand that. I don't want you walking around with big smiles on your face like there's no other reality than that. I'm just asking you to let a little bit more in, to be a little bit more open to the experience, okay? All right, I talked about pictures. Here's an experience experience. Every time, this is the flagpole on the quad. Every time I walk by this flag, particularly on a breezy day, there's a very specific and unique sound that is created by a flag blowing in the breeze. That cloth moving in the breeze catches my attention, and then I look up. And I become totally fascinated with the flag. And I don't have anything against patriotism, but it's not a patriotism for me. I'm fascinated by the almost limitless shape and texture and nuance and light and shadow that a waving flag billowing in the wind creates. And I'll sit there like a loon and take 50 pictures of the flag moving. And every one of them is completely unique because you just catch it bent a certain way, folded a certain way, shadowed a certain way. I like to look at things that we see every day and we take for granted. Here's a stupid sign, right? It's just a sign on the pole. But I noticed the coloring in the sign and I looked at this wonderful sky, this wonderful marbleized sky, and I looked up because I allowed myself to do that. I wasn't busy going from point A to point B. I was allowing myself to see the world that was around me. Simple thing like, shadows crossing the street and the lines in the middle of the road. Water drops in the bush, come on, pick a fence. But look at the texture, the rust, the story on this, I always think of the backstory. When I look at things like chipped paint or broken windows or dust bunnies or whatever the case is, I always think, and I'll use it, and I don't need to offend anyone in this, but when one of the first buildings they remodeled on campus was Barlow Hall. And they had a big ceremony. The governor came down, ribbon cutting ceremony, the whole thing. Marvelous, gorgeous, beautiful, photo ops and the whole thing. And I went to a meeting about 2 years later, and there's that sort of entranceway you go through, and I believe it's painted blue. And as I was going in, 2 years later, I'm seeing rust everywhere. And I'm going, how can this be? How can this thing was celebrated? And now 2 years later, it's rusted. It's because we've moved on to other things. So when I see things that are relics or rust or falling apart, at one point we were cherished and celebrated, and then we forgot about them. So when I see things like that, like fences and stuff, I just don't take it for granted. Roosevelt parking lot is one of those greats that is a steam pipe underneath. I was just totally fascinated with this boilerplate kind of thing and the scratches on it and stuff. For me, photography is been, and I go back to that fine beauty thing that really lit my fire on this. It makes me see things as marvelous as they are. I mean, here's a pipe. This is just a handrail with water on it, Broken plastic cup in the dirt parking lot next to the telling machine in the emporium. The shape, the texture. And then I also wonder, why would someone do this? Why would someone have this cup? What was the circumstance when they were walking across this area, they have a cup, and they just walk out, just leave it on the ground. And then through time, it gets stepped on, driven on, crushed, dirty. But there was a story behind it. And I like to think about that story. In the garden, there's a gazebo, and the ceiling, all those textures and patterns catch my eye. I'm totally fascinated with leaves, and I have some pictures as one that's going to be in the show in Providence. When you go out on a wet day, people always go, oh my God, your camera's in the rain. I go, it's a tool. Of course, I want to take pictures in the rain. This is not one of them, but when you take it in the right circumstance, when it's raining, this would look like a spaceship with stars in the background. That's the way it looks to me. Sunsets. I remember once I was standing next to Hutchinson on the side where the elephant walk is, that end of the building. And I was looking at a sky that was so many colors. I could, purple, orange, just everything. It was amazing. And I'm sitting there taking pictures, and a couple people walk behind me and go, I don't see taking pictures of it. They're not looking up. This is the most amazing sky I've ever seen in my life, and they're not looking up. All right. So, tying it into the happiness, this is the thing that we attributed to many different people. I heard it's from South Africa, I'm not really sure. But two persons look out their cell window, and when we do that, one sees bars, and the other sees stars. You fit into one of those categories, we all do. And maybe we change on a daily basis. But are you seeing stars Who do you want to be? Regardless of what it is you do see, who do you want to be? Listen, bad things happen to good people. We can't change that, okay? I prefer not to hurt. I prefer not to limp. I prefer not to be fat. There's a lot of things that I can't change. I am changing the fat thing slightly, 30 pounds in the last month and a half. But bad stuff happens. It doesn't matter. You're not ever going to live in some nirvana where there's no bad things. It's not what happens, it's what you do with it. How do you take that challenge? How do you take that frustration? You have a lousy grade in a class, can you go back and change it? No. What are you going to do with it? How are you going to use that as a learning tool? Forgiveness. You know? Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. He wasn't treated particularly well. He forgave the people that imprisoned him. How do you do that? Where does that come from? Do you think you could do that? I don't know that I could. I'd like to be that person. And if I have to set a goal, I don't want to set it low, I want to set it high. I'd rather be the person who, after 27 years in jail, would forgive the people who put me there and mistreated me than not be that person. That's the goal that I want. The whole thing about happiness, I don't know if you remember the graphic that was at the beginning. There was a person with a headband and a rod coming off with it and a carrot. Happiness is not something you can chase. You can't find it. You're not going to get it from someone else. It's only going to come from inside of you. And you have to find a sense of inner peace and acceptance, even in adversity. And when you can do that, you're going to start to find happiness. But you're not going to find it. You're not going to find it in a bottle. You're not going to find it in a date. You're not going to find it anywhere except in yourself. And that sense of confidence that you have and that happiness that you have is going to radiate for other people. When I did this the last time, some of the negative comments were, I don't understand how this ties into the RA job. Well, you're reaching out to people and you're being positive and happy. It's going to make you more attractive to someone who's going through stress and needs someone to talk to. If you're aloof, if you're just an authoritarian, if you treat people like, yeah, I'll get to it or whatever, that reads the people right away. When I first got hired, even actually before I got hired, I was the union manager. I was with my friend, I'll just say his name is Charlie. He was in Tucker, and he was a hall director. And we knocked at the door, and there was a young lady dressed in a towel, dripping wet, with a very thick Asian accent. I don't know what accent, but very thick. Obviously, English was not her first language. Okay, and she was very nice and she was very polite. She said, and she apologized, and she said that she was locked out. Charlie was new to our world of what we do. He was 11 years an undergrad, and he was kind of new into the psychology and that sort of thing. And he spent about 15 minutes yelling at her. How dare she invade his privacy? And all he could do, I felt like a passenger on this ride, all he could do was sit there and say, I could have let her in 5 minutes, and he spent 15 yelling at her. When she walks away, do you think she'll ever go to him for anything? No matter how desperate, do you think she'll ever go to him from that? He treated her like dirt, let alone being culturally insensitive. He could have solved the problem and lived with it. But instead, he spent 15 minutes yelling at her. All right. Let's see. You guys know that technology is my favorite website. Technology, entertainment, and design.
When I was 7 years old and my sister was just 5 years old, we were playing on top of a bunk bed. I was 2 years older than my sister at the time. I mean, I'm 2 years older than her now, but at the time that meant she had to do everything that I wanted to do, and I wanted to play war. So we were up on top of our bunk beds, and on one side of the bunk bed I had put out all my G.I. Joe soldiers and weaponry, and on the other side...
Sorry, it's worth saying. Rory. 20th century guy suffering. right back at it.